So, you're a JavaScript developer and you're looking ahead to 2026. You want to level up, right? Well, let me tell you, one of the biggest moves you can make for your career is mastering TypeScript. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. Think of this as your personal roadmap, a guide to take you from a solid JS dev to a pro TypeScript engineer. All right, so let's get right to it. The big question is, how do you actually make that leap? And look, it's not just about learning some new keywords. It's a whole new way of thinking about how you build software. And we're going to break down that entire journey step by step. Okay, let's kick things off. Your TypeScript journey really starts with understanding why you're even doing this. You know, in modern web dev, especially when you're working on big, complex apps with a whole team, TypeScript isn't just a nice to have anymore. Nope, it's pretty much the professional standard. It's how you write code that's solid, easy to maintain, and most importantly, has way fewer bugs. So let's break down the real difference here. With JavaScript, you've probably felt that pain, right? You write the code, it looks fine, but then you run it in the browser and boom, an error pops up. That's because it's dynamic. TypeScript flips that on its head. It's what we call a superset of JavaScript, which just means it adds static typing. And trust me, this one change is an absolute game changer. Your code editor can now spot errors while you're still writing the code. It's like having a safety net that makes building huge applications so much faster and way more predictable. All right, so every quest needs the right gear, and our first stop is setting up our tools. Before we write even one line of TypeScript, we gotta get our environment ready. It's a simple step, but honestly, it's absolutely crucial for everything else we're going to do. Getting your workshop set up is super straightforward. Just 3 steps. First, you'll install the TypeScript compiler itself. Second, and this is a big one, you'll set up your tsconfig.json file. Seriously, think of this as the rulebook for your entire project. And hey, here's a pro tip. Always turn on strict true in there. You'll thank me later, because it unlocks all the safety features. And finally, you just learn how to run your code with a couple of commands. That's it. Your first big milestone, done. Okay, tools are ready. Now we get to the real basics, the primitive types. Think of these as the Lego bricks, or, the atoms of your application. Things like string for text, number for, well, numbers, and Boolean for true or false. Just defining these is your very first step to adding that TypeScript safety and clarity to your code. All right, we've got the basics down. Now we're moving into the stuff that really separates the pros from the beginners. Pay close attention here because mastering these concepts is essential. This is the stuff you'll use every single day, and it's what they're definitely going to ask you about in job interviews. This is where you truly start to think in types. So, one of the first things that trips people up is this. Types versus interfaces. What's the deal? They can seem really similar, and as you can see, they each have their strengths. But let me give you a little industry secret. For defining the shape of an object, most professional teams lean towards interfaces. Why? Well, they're just easier to build upon, to extend, and they have this cool feature called declaration merging. It's a subtle difference for sure, but knowing when to use which is a big deal. And this is the best way to think about it. An interface is literally a contract. It's a binding agreement for your code. It says, hey, if you want to be a task object in our app, you must have a title that's a string, an ID that's a number, and a completed status that's a Boolean. No exceptions. This kind of contract gives you incredible predictability and stops so many bugs in their tracks, especially when you're dealing with data from an API. Next up, generics. Okay, this is where things get really cool. This is where you level up from just using types to actually programming with them. Generics are all about creating flexible, reusable code. See that little T in the example? Think of it like a variable, but for types. It's a placeholder that lets you write one function that can safely handle a string or a number or even a super complex object. When you get this, you're really starting to write code like a senior dev. So once you've got those core ideas locked down, it's time to unlock some of the more advanced stuff. These are the features that give you incredibly fine-grained control over your types. And this is the point where TypeScript transforms from just being a safety net into a true productivity powerhouse. If you want to work fast and smart, you have to know these built-in utility types. Seriously, think of them as your power tools. Instead of writing out a whole new type just because you need a slightly different version, you can just use a utility. Need just a couple properties from a big object? Use pick. Need to make everything optional for, say, an update form? That's partial. They save you so much time and cut down on so much repetitive code. And just to give you a little peek at the top of the mountain, you have things like mapped and conditional types. Now, don't freak out, you don't need to master these right away, but it's good to know they exist. Map types let you programmatically transform another type, like making every single property read-only all at once. And conditional types are basically if-then-else logic, but for your types. It's pretty wild, super advanced, but it really shows you just how powerful this language can be. Okay, last but not least. Being a pro isn't just about the code you write. It's about how you work as part of a team. Mastering TypeScript also means plugging into a whole ecosystem of tools that are built for quality and collaboration. And this is a really key takeaway. Professional code never exists in a vacuum. You'll be using TypeScript alongside tools like Prettier, which keeps everyone's code style consistent, and ESLint, which automatically catches common mistakes. Then you have build tools like Vite or Webpack that bundle everything up for production. Honestly, understanding this whole tool chain, it's a non-negotiable part of being a professional TypeScript developer today. And the best part? You are not doing this alone. See this number? Over 350,000. That's how many GitHub stars roadmap.sh has, the very source of this guide. It just goes to show you the massive, active, and super supportive community you're about to join. We're talking about one of the most loved and fastest growing technologies out there right now. Look, this whole journey from JavaScript dev to TypeScript engineer, it's more than just upgrading a skill on your resume. It's about joining this huge global community that is literally building the future of the web. This roadmap? This is your guide to get there. So the only real question left is, are you ready to start building with them?